I really love myself. And I think many of us, as much as we would love to say that we say that to ourselves every day, I think I would have to say that I know for me, that's something that I'm struggling with, and that I am continuously reminding myself that the relationship with ourselves is so important.
Humility is, I wake up working towards demonstrating humility. And that has led me to the journey of self love.
Hi there. Welcome to Unspeakable Leadership, a space that transcends time, borders, and barriers to reclaim our stories as women of color, leading in organizations, communities, and in our own lives. I'm your host, Rohene Bouajram. With a 20-year career trajectory of leadership, an aspiring storyteller, mom of a son and a fur baby, first-generation immigrant, and uninvited guest in Canada, I want to thank you for being on this journey with me. Let us grow together in conversation. Our next guest is somebody who I truly am excited for you to meet. Let me tell you a little bit about Minnie Karanja. Minnie is a nonprofit leader, educator, executive coach, and systems thinker with over 15 years of experience supporting leaders and organizations across Canada and internationally. Her work sits at the intersection of leadership, identity, career transitions, and social impact. As the founder of Impact Weaving and a course instructor in nonprofit management at Simon Fraser University, Minnie is deeply interested in what becomes possible when people stop performing success for systems that were never designed with them in mind. Through coaching, teaching, and public conversations, she helps professionals and change makers build careers, leadership approaches, and lives grounded in alignment, authorship, human connection, rather than external validation. I think many of you who are listening and probably watching this introduction are excited and on the edge of your seats from meeting Minnie. Minnie, welcome to Unspeakable Leadership. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Rahane, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be in conversation with you today.
Oh, me too, me too. And I just want to, I'm just going to jump into it, Minnie, because I feel like just even hearing your bio, and you and I have had the pleasure of kind of crossing paths in different spaces and places. I'm still always reminded of there's layers and stories behind each of those different words and different opportunities that you've been involved in. So I'd love to start off with the first question, which is, can you share with us what is your leadership journey and who are you today?
I love that question. So let's start with the leadership journey and get into who I am today. So my leadership journey has now been a linear progression. It's been a wavy line to where I am, and I love that and I appreciate that. Now, looking back from where I am, it's been marked by saying yes to opportunities, relationships, friendships, and seeing the possibilities. That's what the journey has been about. Obviously, there are things in the journey that I would have appreciated learning, and I would do differently today. Learning how to do differently, learning how to unlearn some of the things that have marked my leadership journey and the growth. And the person that I am today is a culmination of all those experiences and places and allowing myself to become a different person really on this journey of life. So where I am right now is a place of exploring, continuing to learn and unlearn.
Thank you for that, because in many ways you embody what you've shared in terms of your bio, is that standing at that intersection and that crossroad of learning and unlearning. And I have to say, I've seen you in variety of spaces and speaking, and certainly in spaces of coaching as well. And you bring this, just this beautiful presence of both wisdom and humility. And you're able to really hold that with a confidence and a level of compassion, and that's really what's coming through in what I'm hearing you say, which I think is so crucial and so important as well. I want to ask you, so you went on a trip of a lifetime, at least what it feels like a trip of a lifetime, and it wasn't until you came back and we had a great catch up, and I had asked you, what was the one thing that you took away, and one of the things that you said was, I really love myself. And I think many of us, as much as we would love to say that we say that to ourselves every day, I think I would have to say that I know for me that's something that I'm struggling with, and that I'm continuously reminding myself that the relationship with ourselves is so important. And yet self-love can often be presented as confidence, or you need to be positive. However, the real journey is actually much more uncomfortable and messy. So I'd love to hear from you. What was that trip like in relation to loving yourself? And what was that process of returning to yourself? What did that give you?
Oh, wow. Where do I start with that? Um, so let me start with just how you have, you paraphrased some what I've shared in the beginning about my leadership journey, and you mentioned humility. Humility is something that I'm having a different relationship with. I know earlier on in my journey that humility was not a value that I appreciated. It's not a
Oh, I hear you.
right? It's not a value
Yeah,
that I worked towards.
yeah,
It's not a value that I necessarily wanted to embody, especially when I thought about what I wanted my career to look like.
yeah.
But now humility is one of my core values.
Mm,
Humility
beautiful.
is I wake up working towards
Yeah.
demonstrating humility. And that has led me to the journey of self love. Because going on this journey of seeing myself, of loving myself, has required me to ask questions that have humbled me. And I've had to accept that don't have the answers to some of those questions. So the journey is myself traveling to Africa, through South Africa and Rwanda, and spending time there to be quiet, to be still, to wait, not to wait for something that is imminent or something that I know is going to come up, but just to wait and to let be and to let go as well. That pause gave me the opportunity to see myself in a way that I had not seen myself. And that gift to myself is what I call self love, is what I saw as self love. Being still enough and creating time, creating the space for the emotions, to see them, to feel them, to welcome them, and to try and understand them. So self-love journey is it's a humble experience. It's also a liberating experience because I shared with you that I do not think that I had seen myself the way that I wish I had seen myself before. And honestly, I wouldn't say that I had seen myself. It sounds very strange, but when you get to that point where you are, spending time, months and months just separated from day to day and just being with yourself, it awards you with a real opportunity to confront who you are and to be tender with that. And I think that's what's really important when I think about self-love is the tenderness that you bring to yourself and sometimes what you expect others to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Minnie, I'm thinking of how, how important it is. Like we're talking about, these big, incredible themes of dreaming big and wanting to, create a life that can sustain us and hold us and etc. And what I'm hearing you remind us of is the relationship that we have with ourselves is the starting point. It's the one where that level of depth and honesty is really crucial. And I really appreciate that you acknowledge that humility is not wasn't a value for you. I have to say I've struggled also with humility because growing up in Zimbabwe, I, was always told you have to be humble, you have to, you have to exercise humility. And what I gathered from that word was not the definition I have of it now, but rather the definition that was presented to me was that humility was about maintaining a state of inferiority, and a state of, subservient, which means, I think, especially for women, that being too loud or being too competent or thinking that you know it all is the opposite of humility. And so, therefore, you must define yourself according to that status. And so I hated humility. I hated it,
That would make sense.
right?
Yeah.
And then you reminded me of how, a value can hold a place in your heart, and in your life at one point in time and in a chapter, and then it can shift and change.
Yeah.
And so I love that you've even like reframed for yourself that this is a new value, and this is how it now sits in your life in a way that opens up your mind, your heart, your soul to the possibilities of loving yourself. Because as you said, you truly saw you, and not many of us see ourselves. We have versions, however, we don't really see ourselves. So I guess my question was, as part of that process of self-love and the journey that you took to South Africa and Rwanda, was there a version of you that you left behind, that you had to grieve or forgive in order to really continue to have that deeper relationship with you?
Wow. I love that question because I haven't thought about the person that I had to let go of. But I've thought a lot
Mm,
about the person that I needed to embrace or the person that I need to embrace. And that is the person that
right.
is humble, number one.
Mm,
And really most important for me is
yeah.
that humility piece. The person that says, I
Yeah.
don't know, and being okay with that
Yeah.
answer. I don't know. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
find out and maybe I won't. Because I'm not interested. It's not something that I want to pursue. So it's embracing this
Hmm.
person that sees herself, values herself,
Right.
and not based on the value that other people place on her, not based on
Hmm.
any external validation. And I think that is the greatest gift coming from this experience is letting
Yeah.
go, perhaps maybe letting go of the person that required external validation to feel valuable,
Yeah.
to feel like they are
Yeah.
contributing to society, to their careers, but really embracing the
Yeah.
person that deserves to be, the person that doesn't deserve
Yeah.
any external validation to feel successful. So that, and I think that's my reframe of your question. It's more about the person that I want to embrace And yeah, really haven't spent a lot of time thinking about the person that I want to let go of. And I wonder why
Hmm.
I haven't explored that.
I love that. I love that because again, that in itself is you deciding what matters, and making the choice around what is the most aligned way of looking at your life,
Yeah.
your relationship with yourself, and so I just honor that and say thank you because again, what you're modeling for us is this idea that we have to be agreeable, right? We have to um, can't rock the boat, right? We can't say to somebody, I don't think that question actually makes sense to me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And yet you took it and you said, well, that's actually not, it's not really more aligned with how I'm viewing things,
Yeah.
but here, let me give you where I'm taking this. And the reason why I say this is because I truly believe the more that each and every one of us can see others model the kinds of behaviors, and emulate the kinds of
Hmm.
ways of being that really match with who we are. One, it gives us that just sense of confidence that if another woman can do it, then maybe I can do it. And then also it gives us that sense of hopefully um, just like I want to say compassion that we don't have to, we can
Yeah.
say what's on our minds. We can truly say what's on our minds, and those who can hold us will hold us. Those who can't, then we'll figure it out and we'll find a way to adapt. And so I just want to say in real time, I'm just wanting to in many ways hold the mirror to the way that you're showing up for us even in this conversation, which I truly believe is really important.
Yeah. So I
I
was just
know.
gonna jump
Yeah,
in there
yeah,
and say that the more I've been on this journey and embraced the person
yeah,
that I am becoming and the person that I really want to pursue, is the more I allow people around me to be who they want to be and to express themselves how they want to express. So my need
yeah,
of may not call it a need, but I want to be able to express myself. I, I
yeah,
want I want that freedom. I want to
yeah,
experience that. I want to enjoy that. I want to, be in conversation with you and feel that it's okay for me to have these different views and opinions, the same way that I'm extending that opportunity to the people
yeah,
around me, that I want to hear their different views, their
yeah,
experiences, and I want to honor that as well. So I agree with you. The more we lean into who we are and we allow that to happen, the more we allow other people to do that. And, creating that space for one another is really important. Yeah.
I agree. And yet that seems to not
Yeah.
be a common
It's not
occurrence.
easy. To
No.
be honest, even as I'm talking about it, I'm questioning to what extent have I been extending that opportunity to
Yeah,
others. Honestly, I don't think I
yeah.
do it all the time. I have to admit that.
And I think that
Mm,
that's okay because we're like we have a level of humanity, um, and I wonder if this resonates for you is what I've also come to appreciate is as we continue to think about like building this own reality that we're creating for ourselves, that is as much as possible away from the labels and the boxes and all of those things. It's not always going to be linear. And you talked about this at the beginning, where you said your own leadership journey has not been about, take this step and then move on to the next step and etc. Sometimes we're taking steps
yeah.
back. Sometimes we're taking steps to the side, and so it's in that I truly believe in that process of recognizing that we will take some moments where we might move back into the default and hopefully catch ourselves and then kind of pull ourselves out of it. However, it's recognizing that the value that we bring through, as you shared, the internal validation is far more richer, has far more depth, feels better than the continuous cycle of waiting for somebody else to validate you. And that's what I'm hearing you really speak about, which I think is so crucial. I I'm curious because often when you're shifting into versions of yourself, not everyone is happy. Not everyone is able to quickly adapt as you are adapting. So I'm curious if you've experienced changes in your relationships, in your choices, in your leadership when you truly decided to shift and perhaps move into a much more aligned place.
Yes, absolutely. It's uncomfortable. And as I said, there is, we're all human. There's a humanity to us
Yeah.
where we get comfortable with versions of people.
Mm-hmm.
We get comfortable with that. So when there's a disruption, it's almost going through a phase of denial. It's like, is this real? Is it
Yeah.
just a phase? If so, how do I adapt and accept it if I will?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I continue the relationship? Or how do I redefine the relationship? So I know that my relationships, close relationships, work relationships, they've gone through different phases and experiences of the person that I am becoming. There are others that are going to celebrate the place
Right.
where I am, and mostly those I find other people that who've gone through this journey are further ahead than I am, and are like, yeah, that's it, rock on, welcome to the team, welcome on board. That's the way to go. And then there are those that who are yet to go through this process of really seeing themselves, valuing themselves, accepting themselves, and are still dependent on external validation, that struggle to accept. And sometimes it could be, like, how did you do that? Like, or how dare you get out of this way of being and try to redefine something for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, almost like, who do you think you are? Kind of
Mm.
a thing.
I'm
You
trying not to roll my eyes here, but okay.
right? So there's the whole spectrum, if I may call it, of how of
Yeah.
where people are with the change that is in my life right now. And
Yeah.
that's okay. I feel no resistance. I feel no
Mm-hmm.
sadness about relationships that need to be redefined.
Right.
And that took time. I know earlier on, before I took on this whole trip and said I want to take time and really look inside, I
Mm-hmm.
was already starting to feel something inside of me. And
Mm.
a lot of people who've been on this journey might share the same, that it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It starts with discomfort, and you start feeling that you're no
Mm-hmm.
longer fitting in the circles that you were. You want to have
Mm-hmm.
different conversations, you want to pursue something different. And I know that I had that experience. So it's been a gradual change in my relationships, as I go through this journey. And I know, I still believe I'm in the very beginning of this journey. There's so much that I know that is yet to be uncovered, yet to be
Mm-hmm.
learned and unlearned. So it's accepting that. In the beginning, I was a bit concerned. Is that who is going to be offended? Who's going to be offended if I become this person, if I let go of the version that they were used to?
As I think about how to stay connected, I invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. I promise I will not bombard you with daily emails. Good gravy. I shudder just even thinking about it. Subscribing by visiting my website is how you'll receive exclusive updates, podcast features, and thought leadership curated with you in mind. I hope you'll join me on my newsletter. Take care.
And I used to get concerned about that. I don't get concerned about that anymore. I'm more concerned about how am I progressing on this journey? How am I holding myself? How am I bringing tenderness to my life? That's my primary concern. I am my primary concern, and I wouldn't say that in a self-conceited, selfish way. It's it's a realization that I am my own responsibility, and that's a big responsibility, which I think we often, like, we're not taught. I don't think I have been taught or know places where you can be taught to understand you are your own self. You are responsible for yourself rather. And it's a big responsibility. And I know in my career that even my own career trajectory, I waited for promotions. I waited for opportunities to come. I
Yeah.
pursued some, but I wouldn't say I pursued them from a place of putting myself first.
Mm.
Yeah.
What, where would, or what would be the reason that you pursued them then? I'm curious.
Some of reflecting back, I saw that some of the things that I pursued were because someone said I'm really good at something.
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'm good at that, eh? Okay. Then maybe let's exploit that, you know,
Yeah.
because that's often the case. Let's take
Right.
advantage of that because
Yeah.
it's a skill that I have. I'm good at it. And why
Right.
not? It's going to be more money, more
Mm-hmm.
status. It makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. It makes sense on paper. But
Right.
I, I think had I had the lens that I have now, I would have asked
Yeah.
different questions. Is yes,
Mm.
I'm good at it, but is it what I want to do? Is it
Right.
what makes me happy? Is it what I feel aligned with? And are my values honored in that position?
Mm.
Is it the thing that's going to make me feel alive and
Right.
thriving? So I would have asked different questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would have. Yeah.
And I really want to echo something that you're saying that's so powerful, Minnie, is when we are looking at something from a specific vantage point, a specific perspective,
Mm,
the angle is so crucial, right?
mm,
Because when you're looking at it from this perspective versus from a different perspective, what you start to see and what you start to imagine will happen or won't happen is very different depending on the angle that you're seeing your life, your leadership, your career, your family, you name it. And as you highlighted, that when you start from a different angle, different questions come to mind, and different ways of seeing what could be possible comes to mind. And so I just really want to say, as you are on your journey of continuing not just to love yourself, but continuing to ask those deeper and bigger questions, I really want to say thank you for giving us almost your own experience as the perspective to take, and to say that when you start to see things differently, you start to act differently and be differently. And that is absolutely beautiful.
yeah.
We are at our final question. And I
Wow.
don't, I have to just say, I cannot stand how time just like goes by like this. And yet at the same time, it's
Yeah.
been such an honoring conversation to have. Um, my final question is, we have a range of listeners, some who are well into their leadership career and others who are just starting their leadership. Looking back, what would you tell someone who is ready to define their own arena?
I would say, first of all, congratulations. Congratulations on making that decision and follow with you deserve it. You deserve to redefine the arena for yourself. You deserve the space. So take up the space. Take up the space for yourself and don't wait for external validation. Don't wait for external validation to push you forward to what you want to achieve, but look internally. I am just amazed by the wisdom that we have. We hold so much wisdom inside of ourselves that we are yet to understand, to explore. And the more we do that, the more we lean into who we are, the more we look internally, the more we the more we thrive, the more we are just supported to thrive by the universe. It's there to support us. So I would say look internally, make space for that, and build community with people that are on the same journey as yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Minnie, for your time, for sharing. I really, on behalf of those who are listening and watching, and myself, I really am so grateful that you are on season 5 of Unspeakable Leadership, speaking about your experience and helping us, each and every one of us, really examine where we could be and in the words of Spice Girls, tell me what I want, what I really really want. That's what I'm just remembering as you say what you shared. Now, many of our viewers and listeners often want to find a way to connect with our guests, or sometimes guests love to leave a call to action. Is there a way or something that you'd like to share with those who are listening and watching this season?
Yes, and before that, Roheen, thank you so much for hosting me. It's been a
Oh,
pleasure being in conversation, and I hope to continue this
okay.
conversation, in
Always.
the world. Yeah, I feel like there's just so much. It's a pleasure, and yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, I would love to connect with folks. So where you can find me, I have my website, minniekaranja.com. Check out my website, get to know what I do, particularly in coaching. I support individuals to go through the journey of knowing themselves, returning back to themselves and
Mm.
discovering what really they are about and their gifts to the world. So that's one place to find me, and on LinkedIn. Just
Mhm.
search me by my name and you'll find me. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Minnie. Thank you for being with us in conversation. And we'll definitely drop all of your socials and your website in the show notes for those who are also looking for a way to connect with an incredible coach and an incredible person who is on the journey of really self discovery and reinvention, which I think are such critical themes that are coming up as part of this theme for She Built Her Own Arena. Minnie, it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much. If this episode spoke to something you have been quietly carrying, don't let it end here. Subscribe to Unspeakable Leadership and join thousands of listeners and viewers around the world who are redefining leadership on their own terms. Every week of each season, we unpack conversations most people avoid: power, identity, reinvention, grief, ambition, courage, the cost of shrinking, and the freedom of becoming. This podcast isn't surface level. It's honest, it's layered, it's the kind of conversation that stays with you long after the episode ends. So I'm going to ask you for a favor. Subscribe to this podcast, leave a review, or share the episode with somebody who needs to hear it. Because every share helps the stories that you hear reach the people who have been searching for the language, the clarity, and the right nudge to lead differently. And if an episode has moved you, tell me. I always love hearing from you.